Hi everybody, my name is Gayla. I'm an alcoholic. Really good to be here. I feel very honored to be able to get up here and share. Wow. Who'd have thought? 41 years. Okay, so my sobriety date is November 12th, 1982. And it's only because of a loving God, this fellowship, and the program that has actually happened. So I'm very, very grateful. I've met a lot of beautiful people in this program, and I got the opportunity to also learn that I was a beautiful person too. So kind of a little bit of my story. So my first taste of alcohol was when I was 7. The good old Schlitz malt liquor with a little bit of salt from my Uncle Si. Thought it was horrible. Thought I'm never ever going to drink, and I come from a big family. I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and there's 3 older brothers, and the 2 sisters are right next to me, and then I have a younger brother. And so as I was growing up, my dad, he worked nights, and the boys actually kind of had free reign of the house, and so they were the big drinkers. And I remember thinking and talking to my sisters, we're never going to be like that. And until, I wanted to share a little bit about how I felt before I ever even picked up a drink. I never felt like I really fit in, and so I can really identify with feeling apart from, kind of feeling unique, feeling like I don't belong. And I remember that from a very early age. And whenever I started drinking, I didn't have to worry about how I felt. And I think for me, whenever I think about, I think about like what it was. The way I drank, I thought was normal. And so, I went on thinking that, there's nothing wrong with me. Everybody drinks like this. And then things started happening where people would say, "So, Gayla, where's your car?" What do you mean, where's my car? It's right out front. Well, no, it's not. And so I proceeded to talk to the people that I was with the night before, and they were just dumbfounded that I couldn't remember what happened. And this was kind of one of those things that, made me realize a little bit later, hindsight, honestly, that I was an alcoholic. But going through that, and seeing that, I know that my drinking wasn't normal. I went to the individual that I was with that night, and I asked him what had happened, and they said, "You mean you really don't remember?" And I said, "No, I really don't remember." And we finally figured out where it was. It was in some tow lot. Apparently I had put it in the ditch and didn't know it. But anyway, that was after seeing about that much left in the bottle of tequila that we were drinking. But I have a ton of stories like that, and I know I'm in the right place, but at that time, I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I just kept trying my best to control it. And so, by the time I turned 17, I had gotten in trouble with the law 3 different times. And this time I got the good old Judge McMichaels. There's probably some people that are pretty familiar with good old Judge McMichaels. So I had gotten stopped by a state highway patrolman, and I don't remember getting stopped by him. So obviously, I was a blackout drinker. But anyway, what had happened, I remember bits and pieces of that night, and the last thing I remember before I was in jail was I kind of remember jerking off to the side of the road, and then I remember the cop coming up and asking me if I knew where I was going, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to Liberty." And he said, "Well, I think you need to come with me." I don't remember if I fought him or anything, but anyway. So through all that, DWI, CNI, possession. Through that journey is how I discovered Alcoholics Anonymous. When I went to court, they gave me my sentence: alcohol awareness school, task program, probation for a year, and so, like I said, that's how I found out about this program. I was never forced to come here, but it was through all that I met a couple of ladies that were in Alcoholics Anonymous that were running that alcohol awareness school. And I'll forever be grateful, because you never know when you're going to plant the seed for somebody, and that was my spot. And one of the ladies, after I finally realized, like the Big Book talks about, when I pick up a drink, I can't accurately predict what's going to happen. I can say I know, but I don't really know. It just alcohol has power over me. So one of the ladies had said, if you really want to stay sober, I really didn't know if I wanted to stay sober at that time, but it did catch my mind as far as, she said, you're going to need some kind of follow-up program, and she meant Alcoholics Anonymous. And I mean, this was when I was just really discovering that I really truly was an alcoholic, and I had kind of talked with my dad about it, and I knew I was an alcoholic, but it was like, what am I going to do about it? And I went around for the next 5 months miserable because I hadn't found Alcoholics Anonymous yet. And I want to tell you, I mean, that's, it doesn't matter how much time you have, because, what we got to watch out for, is not only the drink, but, if you stay away from the drink and you don't have any kind of program to work, you're liable to commit suicide. I know that to be true because I really truly believe that I am selfish and self-centered to my core, and I'm so grateful that I know that today. And it's only because of a loving God that I do know that. And so anyway, those 5 months were my most miserable time in my life. But then, when those ladies suggested this program, and I came in here, and I wasn't so sure about you guys. Y'all were old, and ta-da! Y'all were wearing readers. I have arrived. But no, I just, fortunately, the first meeting I went to was a bunch of women, and I judged every single one of you. And I was just like you. What I did walk away with from that first meeting was a whole lot of hope. And I didn't really know what this place was about, or this fellowship, and I think it's really important that it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, the fellowship is the avenue to the program. And I think it's really important that, if we're fortunate enough, you see this inviting fellowship, and then at some point you're willing to do some of the work, So anyway, I did get here November 12th, 1982. My last drunk was probably June 14th, 1982, because that was the day before I went to court. And then after I went to court, and they told me by law, you don't drink, you don't drug, or you're going to jail. So I tried my best to stay away from everything, and like I said, that was the most miserable time. And then when I got introduced here and came here, and I finally got to find out that there was a solution, that I didn't have to stay miserable for the rest of my life. And the whole when I walked in, and the back then you was told who was your sponsor, and I happened to get Sam P. And what an honor, it just gives me goosebumps to think about, I've always had really good sponsors. The thing is we have to use them. And she was really good about putting me in my place. And she let me know, and the reason why I'm standing up here today is, I was all iffy about, like, the first time they wanted me to get up and share, and because, she said, you know what, it's not about you. And she also told me that I was a tiny grain of sand on a big old beach, and I needed to get over myself. So, gosh, she was really good at telling me exactly what I needed to hear. My journey in recovery has been beautiful. I didn't win the lottery or anything. I mean, I won the lottery in the aspect that I get to have relationships today that I never thought I could. I know I wouldn't have had I not come here. I had shut everybody out. I had people worrying to death about me, and so the first people that I think about is my parents, my mom was a sheltered country girl, and my dad was a downtown Kansas City kind of guy. And so putting them together really was a good combination of loving, caring, and hard at the same time. And I'm just so grateful that I had the parents I had. And, if it wasn't for this program, I would have never been able to have a relationship with my parents. I got to make amends to them, and, and like I've heard this weekend already, we love people for where they are. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to get out of my selfish self-centeredness and be in the moment with the people that are in my life. I went on to have a family, and I have a daughter and 2 grandkids. And, again, it's because of this fellowship that has happened. And, the blessing that I get to have them in my life today is just, beyond measure of, just everything that has been given to me. I think the biggest, that I know the theme basically is our dark past is our greatest possession. And to me, I just think about where I was and where I am now, and I get to be an active participant in life today. And I am so grateful that that has happened for me. And also, too, that, you know, the highlight of my life is being able to pass on what has freely been given to me. You know, and with that being said, I just want to thank everybody that has come before me and everybody that has come after me. And just every one of you are special. And it's just awesome that we all get to still be here. So anyway, I think my time's up. I'm not sure, but thank you all.
Thanks so much, Gayla. And next I'll introduce my home group, Mac.
My name's Matt McGuire, I'm alcoholic. And thanks to AA sponsorship, God, people like you, and not drinking, I've been sober since the 9th of May, 1982. And I'm just going to say right up front that is not my fault. It was not my intention. And they told me last year, I did this too, and they said, well, just talk about how AA has changed. And I thought about that a little bit, and I don't think it has. I don't think it has. I mean, they talk about, well, we used to smoke in meetings. Yeah, I used to smoke on airplanes too, right? That's a societal change, right? It's not how we changed. I mean, I still call my sponsor on a regular basis, and I have sponsees that call me on a regular basis, and that's started in 1935, right, with Bill and Bob, and then, I don't know, I just don't think things have changed a lot. And I was thinking about, I sobered up in Nebraska at the Foxhall group, and I remember going to a district meeting one month, and there was a big conflict there between groups of people who had club meetings and people who had church basement meetings. And I mean, we were in this district meeting, and people were yelling at each other and crying, and I thought, oh my God, I'm newly sober, and these people are just like going crazy. And then the meeting ended, everybody got up, held hands, said the Lord's Prayer, and went out for coffee. That's Alcoholics Anonymous, right? That's what we do. I mean, there were people, they were very passionate about Alcoholics Anonymous. They were, and they knew, because we're egotistical, right? They knew their way was the right way, and they were going to fight for that. And I think that's still here in Alcoholics Anonymous, right? We're still fighting for what's the right way to do this deal. And I think that's important. And I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love what it's done for my life. I have a good life today because of that. I came in here, I was living in a condemned house with no running water. I drove a car that one door opened, and I had a nice job. What the heck, right? I mean, I had 30 days paid vacation every year. I was in the military. 30 days paid vacation every year. I never planned a vacation because I never knew when I was going on one. I would wake up in Yazoo County, Mississippi. I'm supposed to be in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm not making it. So I'd call my boss up and say, I need to go on leave. And he'd put me on leave because I don't know about you, I was a good alcoholic. I built up brownie points, right? I was a single guy, so I worked all the holidays, all that stuff. So the married guys who were the bosses, right, they'd get to stay at home with their families, and then when I would call and need to go on leave, they'd help me out. So that's that's the kind of guy I was, right? I did not know what was going to happen one day to the next. And then I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was not Mr. AA. First of all, people in Alcoholics Anonymous talked about God. And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought people who talked about God were just kind of stupid. Because I was way smarter than that. Never mind that my life was miserable, right? And I'm living in a little condemned house, and these guys are living in reasonable places with running water. I was fixing my house up, okay? That's what I said. That was my thing, right? I was fixing my house up. That house had running water when I moved in. That's how good I was fixing it up. Anyway, I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did not come here willingly. I had a little card that had to be signed. I don't know if any of you guys have. I don't know if they do that now. I don't see too many of those, but had a little card that had to be signed, and and they invited me back, which was kind of unusual. And I couldn't drink, right, because I'm under this court thing, right, where they might check on me. So I didn't drink, which meant when you said come back and go to 90 meetings in 90 days, I'm like, well, I'm pretty busy, right? But the truth was, that's all I did, was I went to work and went out drinking. So one of the guys told me, he said, well, here, just do this. Just come to meetings as often as you drank. So I was there every day, and I did stay sober. I'm a rare commodity, I think, in Alcoholics Anonymous. I have never had a drink or a drug since I walked in the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so, if you're here now, that can happen for you. I know that, right? You don't not have to ever take another drink or a drug. I got sober in Nebraska. I was in the military. I got sober there and realized I didn't like the military. I'd been there like 8 years when I got sober, but I was busy drinking, right? That was the military was basically a way for me to support my drinking habit. And so when I got sober, I didn't have a drinking habit anymore. I didn't like that. So I got out of the military. I met a girl. That happens in AA occasionally, right? You meet a girl. She was, well, first of all, my first year in sobriety was weird. And I heard people say things like, well, you shouldn't get in a relationship your first year, right? I had 3 or 4 because I was young and thin then, right? I weighed 135 pounds. I'm like old and fat now, so it's different. But, I had just horrible relationships, right, my first year, because I don't know about you, but I did not get here very well. And I did not understand how to act like a decent human being. And anyway, after I'd been in AA for a while, I met somebody. I was getting ready to get out of the Air Force. She lived down here in Kansas City, so I moved to Kansas City to be with her. I had my sponsor was Dick Martin, who passed away just a few years ago. I love that guy. He guided me very well, and he was so compassionate. I mean, I called him up because I had asked this woman, I'd moved to Kansas City for her, I loved her, and I asked her to marry me, and she said no. And I called Dick up, and in his deep, compassionate heart, he said to me, Mac, you haven't had a job in 3 months. I wouldn't marry you either. that's the kind of sponsor I have today, right? I have a new sponsor, obviously, because Dick will not talk to me anymore. I need that kind of guidance. And you know, Alcoholics Anonymous, this kind of stuff right here, this is fun, this is great. This is not Alcoholics Anonymous. Right? I can hear Alcoholics Anonymous right out there. They're talking. One person talking to another. One alcoholic talking to another. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. That's why it's important that I call my sponsor. That's why it's important that my sponsees call me. That's why it's important that I call people that I don't sponsor and who don't sponsor me. Right? That's one alcoholic talking to another. That's been Alcoholics Anonymous since the beginning. And yes, it's important that we go to meetings, because otherwise, how do we meet somebody to talk to? And you know, the program is the steps, but I need somebody to guide me through those. I read that book, and I'm a very good reader, and I'm not going to do that the right way. Because the way I read it and interpret it is different than the way Alcoholics Anonymous does. Because I wouldn't do half that stuff. I'm trying to leave Gary a little time anyway, I don't know. So, this is our newest member. You know what the fastest mammal in the world is? The fastest mammal in the world is a toddler who's just been asked, "What's in your mouth?" Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life today that's not real great right now, but I have a lot of support in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I still love Alcoholics Anonymous. I still do what I'm committed to do. I'm still calling people. Actually, I'm calling my sponsor more, yes, because that's what we do when we're struggling a little bit. And I have, if Alcoholics Anonymous is not the center of your life today, you need to try again. Because that's the way this is in my life and has to be. I heard it earlier today. Somebody, was it this morning? I don't know. I heard it during this conference, right? I have to plan my life around Alcoholics Anonymous. I have regular meetings that I go to. I show up there every time unless something really serious is going on. Because that's the way I have to run my life. Because when I ran it another way, it didn't work very well. I center my life around Alcoholics Anonymous, and I get a good life. When I start pulling away from that, my life's not so good. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Mac. And now I'll introduce Gary.
Very nice now. My name's Gary and I'm an alcoholic. Fellowship, God of my understanding, and the Alcoholics Anonymous program has given me the opportunity to stay sober since April the 7th, 1978. I started off in St. Louis, Missouri, and I had a great sponsor. He was always after me going to meetings. We're going to meetings after work. We're going to meetings before work. We're going to go to meetings in our spare time. On our days off, we have the same days off. We're going to go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're going to learn something. And I'm thinking, I'm going to learn how to get rid of him really, really quick. And I'd tell him, I said, I'm going to go home and see my wife. And he said, no, I called her a while ago, and she said, you need to go to a meeting. I thought, what in the world is going on here? Well, she sent me to Alcoholics Anonymous meeting today. I wasn't going to be here till after 1:30, but she kind of kicked me out of the house early this morning. You need to go on over there and get involved in some of this stuff that's going on. You know, you look around, everybody in here, we have something in common that nobody else has. I don't know why. Can you imagine what it would be like if we didn't all have the same problem? Would we be mad at each other or something? You know, write stuff down, it tells us. You know, I had problems with the program when I first started off, but it worked on a little while. Because when I got here, I wasn't a very good candidate. I had 2 DWIs. The judge was after me. He wasn't very happy. But I didn't tell him I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. He got down to serve the papers and the final word. He said, "You got anything to say?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a letter for you." I handed him the letter, and he opened it, and he read it, and he said, "Did you read this letter?" And I said, "No, I don't open your mail. It's addressed to you. I don't think I need to open your mail." And he was unhappy. He says, "I'm supposed to know that you're going to Alcoholics Anonymous." I says, "That's why they call it anonymous. You don't need to know." He says, "I'm on a well-to-know basis, and I have to know what you're doing." We had to do something. So I lost my license, I think, for 30 days. I gave him a fine, I think. I think he probably put gas in his car or something. And I didn't get no community service, but I learned a lesson. I don't want to go there no more. He said something drastic. "If you show up again in my courtroom, I'm going to give you a place to live that is painted a gray color." And I decided, I thought, maybe I ought to do something different. I had the problem that I would swear off drinking by 10 o'clock in the morning, and then by noon I was getting drunk. So I quit swearing off drinking. I didn't swear off drinking this morning, but I have no use for it either. I tell people that I was in the service, which he was. I was in a foreign country for 13 months. I can't tell you too much about it. I drink a lot. They told me I had to slow down on my drinking so I could come home. I come home and I still had the problem. I still had the drinking problem. And it took another 10 years for me to show up at Alcoholics Anonymous, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I got me a sponsor. And I'd have a problem. I'd be crying to him about my problem. He says, "Read page 448 and 449 of the big book." That new book is 417 through 420. I'd read it, and I'd call him back, and he said, "Read it again." So I'd go read it again. I called him back. He says, "Go read it again." I said, "Why don't you go read page 100 and leave me alone?" I didn't even know what was on page 100. I had to go read it. So I went and read it. It said something like this: "If I put my hand in my sponsor's hand, we put our hands in the hands of God, remarkable things will happen to us. More than what we could expect even to happen to us. And we don't know what it's going to be like. But it's going to be different." Start working a program inside your head. Instead of giving that free space to somebody to mess your mind up, start working that program that was designed for you to make you a better living and a better person. Be nice to the people around you. So I'm trying. I'm really, really trying really hard, and it's getting old. So he'd find new things for me to do. He said, "We're going to go to a meeting, and there's a great speaker down here he wants me to listen to." We went to this building, and we went through the door, and when we went through the door, I looked behind me, and there's no handles on this side of the door. Now, I'm getting a little worried because in an hour, I want to leave here. And I'm thinking, maybe he checked me in, and I didn't know it. We get down there, and everybody's dressed up like you all are. Here I'm in my work uniform to go into work, and it said Eastern Airlines on the front of it. Had my name on it, and my stars and all that good stuff. And I looked at him, and he had a plaid shirt on. I'm thinking, what did I miss? I says, "What's happening here?" He said, oh, that speaker will be here in a few minutes. So I'm waiting and waiting. He leans over to me. He says, you're the speaker for today. I said, I'm sure glad you let me know. I don't know what to tell these people. I don't know anything. Tell them how you got here. When I drank, I only have 2. My glasses are bigger than yours. And then once I drank 2, I got to make sure I drank 2 so I have 1 more. Now, I lose something there because the switch turns on my head and there's no off switch in my head. And I keep drinking until I either pass out, I don't have no money, they throw me out, and tomorrow I'll do the same thing all over again if I have that drink. There's something about me that I'm different than you. And we all have that same problem. Once we take that sip of alcohol, it does something to us. Some of us like the taste. Some of them says it's less filling. I never did figure that out. But I drank a lot of it. Today I have a lot of meetings I go to. Before COVID hit, I was going to 20 meetings a week, and I couldn't get enough. Then my wife wouldn't let me go to meetings because the COVID was on, so I had to read a lot. And I'd listen to tapes to get through the area that we had that was where we couldn't get out and go. And eventually I think the kids bribed her, or all the people in the building bribed her to let me come to a meeting so I could get started again. We got to help one another get through these hard times that we have, because there's no answer other than talking to another alcoholic. We do more when we talk to one another than we do anybody else. The poor guy that's not an alcoholic, you can't talk to him. He has all the answers, but the alcoholic don't have the answers unless he talks to another alcoholic and you get his confidence within an hour. It makes you feel good on the inside that you can help. Sometimes you go to a meeting and say, that was a bad meeting I went to. What did you take of the meeting? Or what did you get out of it? Sometimes it's just better to not say anything. And it turns out to be the right thing at that moment. And you gain a lot of experience and hang on to a lot of different things. You can quote stuff out of that big book like you wouldn't believe that you didn't know that you had. It tells us in Alcoholics Anonymous, a brand new person walks through the door, we have to be ready. And tell them how we feel on the inside. Do you feel good on the inside? Do you like the person next to you? Can you get along with everybody in the group? You know, when you drank, you didn't get along with anybody. And they was running us off, telling us not to come back. If somebody goes out and practices again, he comes back, we welcome back with open arms. He learned a lesson. Maybe he can pass it on to someone else. I love this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the best thing that ever happened to me, and thanks for these 2 people for letting me come down here and enjoy this time. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Our speakers will make themselves available on the floor in front of the stage. If you would like to thank them for their service, we would like to thank you in advance for cleaning up after yourselves. And with your neighbor, if they fall short, gather and dispose all trash in the proper receptacles. So now I'd like to have Susie come up and read the promises and lead us in the closing prayer. Susie here? Susie here? No Susie? Okay. I guess I'll stand in for Susie. Okay, can we close with the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, Let your rest remain. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Now,
Well, I guess I could have read the promises. I never thought about that. but-
that's all right.
Oh, well.
We'll get going.
I could have done the promises, but
That's fine. We're good. It's all good.
I don't know. I got to call find out what this guy wants.
you want your bottle of water? Great job.
Mondays and Thursdays are my go-to, and then 10 a.m. on Saturday.